Good morning, everyone. Great to see you here, and to those of you looking from online, let's do our gathering hymn, Come Sing a Song With Me.
We just sang one of my favorite songs, and Carolyn McDade, the composer of that, and our doxology is actually a part of our community. So we are indeed blessed by that wonderful fact. So welcome to one and all, whether you're here in our sanctuary or whether you're joining us via the live stream. We are a multi-generational community where you are invited to grow in spirit and to join with others to grow our capacity to build the beloved community, both together and with our partners in the wider world. I have a few important announcements. A special welcome to any visitors, and if you're new to First Unitarian, if this is your first visit or one of your first visits, please join Reverend Tom and Jen Thomas, our membership engagement coordinator, for a brief welcome and check-in immediately following the service right over here in the gallery. They can answer any initial questions you might have and let you know about upcoming opportunities and help you find your way to our coffee hour in Fuller downstairs. Today, immediately following the service, I invite everyone to come to a senior minister update, followed by a financial update. I'll be sharing highlights from the first half of this year and sharing the budget priorities for 2024-2025. And by the way, we have not yet fully funded the campaign for 2024, the year we're in right now. And it takes generosity at all levels of giving to support our facilities, our operations, our worship, caring, learning, justice, and community building ministries. And if you haven't joined the campaign yet, you can join today by going to our website, www.firstunitarianportland.org/pledge. Last Sunday, we launched the Parents Community Circles with people who were able to make it on Zoom due to the weather. And I want to share we have 33 parents registered so far and 29 children in childcare. And if you had to miss the first one, you're still welcome to join us for the second. This week, we're launching 2 more community circle options, an LGBTQ plus community circle option on Wednesday at 6:30, facilitated by Danielle, our intern. Thank you, Danielle. And on Thursday at 10 a.m., facilitated by Jen Thomas. And you can sign up for both of these following the service in the narthex or the lobby, in case you don't know what a narthex is, and also by clicking the link on front steps. And we have more community circles coming along, including one in someone's home, and we're hoping to launch one on Zoom as well. So check out the weekly front steps for more about how to order tamales, for signing up for anti-racism circles, and lots more. We are an very active, vibrant, multi-generational community. Welcome once again to everyone. Let us turn to our neighbors and greet them warmly. I love the sounds of greeting and warmth that are so robust that we can't hear the bell. It is a blessing. It is a blessing. I would love to invite one of our youth advisors, Faith Buchanan, to come and light our chalice this morning. And if you're joining us from home, we invite you to light your own chalice or candle if you have one. And Andrew Thompson is another one of our youth advisors who is sick today. So Andrew, if you're watching, we hope you feel better. Let us join in our chalice lighting. We are Unitarian Universalists. We light this chalice in faith, in hope, and in love.
I call us to worship this morning with words from Kathy Huff. Spirit of life, be present with us this hour. Join us today as we gather in a wider search for truth and purpose. In this quest, may we greet one another with open hearts and minds. May we inspire each other to consider new questions and seek deeper meaning. And may we cultivate wisdom and compassion. Let all who enter the sanctuary see a welcome face, hear a kind word, and find comfort in this community. And may all that is done and said here today be in service to love and to justice. And now let us rise as we are able in body or in spirit and sing together as we sing of hope and joy. Our responsive reading this morning is by Kendall Gibbons. Out of a community of diverse heritage and belief, we come together to share our hope and to create good in the world. The teachers of all traditions and times have taught that we are called to mercy, generosity, and mutual care, and that to be good is to serve. We know that there can be no enduring happiness for humanity so long as suffering and want go unrelieved. Until all may be sheltered, none of us is truly at home. May the power of our various faiths sustain us in this work, that we may be the hands of holy creativity and justice, and together build a better world. Let us join in our doxology, Spirit of Life. For our Time for All Ages this morning, I am delighted to invite up our youth. They have brought such a deep and rich theological imagination and lightness of spirit to the topic of generosity, and they are going to be today providing you with their take on the giving tree. So youth, come on up.
Once there was a tree.
And she loved a little boy.
And every day the boy would come and he would gather her leaves.
And make them into crowns and play king of the forest.
He would climb her trunk and swing from her branches.
And eat apples.
And they would play hide and go seek. And when he was tired, he would sleep in her shade.
And the boy loved the tree.
Very much. And the tree was happy. But time went by.
And the boy grew older.
And the tree often was alone. Then one day, the boy came to the tree, and the tree said, "Come, boy, come and climb up my trunk and swing from my branches and eat apples and play in my shade and be happy."
I'm too big to climb and play, said the boy. I want to buy things and have fun. I want some money. Can you give me some money?
"I'm sorry," said the tree, "but I have no money. I have only leaves and apples. Take my apples, boy, and sell them in the city. Then you will have money and you will be happy." And so the boy climbed up the tree and gathered her apples and carried them away. And the tree was happy.
But the boy stayed away for a long time, and the tree was sad. And then one day the boy came back, and the tree shook with joy. And she said, "Come, boy, climb up my trunk and swing from my branches, and be happy."
"I am too busy to climb trees," said the boy. "I want a house to keep me warm," he said. "I want a wife and I want children, and I need a house. Can you give me a house?"
"I have no house," said the tree. "The forest is my house, but you may cut off my branches and build a house. Then you will be happy."
And so the boy cut off her branches and carried them away to build his house.
And the tree was happy.
But the boy stayed away for a long time. And when he came back, the tree was so happy she could hardly speak. "Come, boy," she whispered, "come and play." "I am too old and sad to play," said the boy. "I want a boat that will take me far away from here. Can you give me a boat?" "Cut down my trunk and make a boat," said the tree. "Then you can sail away and be happy."
And so the boy cut down her trunk and made a boat and sailed away.
And the tree was happy, but not really.
And after a long time, the boy came back again. "I'm sorry, boy," said the tree, "but I have nothing left to give you. My apples are gone." "My teeth are too weak for apples," said the boy. "My branches are gone," said the tree. "You cannot swing on them." "I'm too old to swing on branches," said the boy. "My trunk is gone," said the tree. "You cannot climb." "I'm too tired to climb," said the boy.
"I am sorry," sighed the tree. "I wish that I could give you something, but I have nothing left. I'm just an old stump. I am sorry." "I don't need very much now," said the boy. "Just a quiet place to sit and rest. I am very tired." "Well," said the tree, straightening herself up as she could, well, an old stump is good for sitting and resting. Come, boy, sit down and rest." And the boy did.
And the tree was happy.
Hey, wait a minute. Let's try something different.
The man came back with his grandchild and planted trees. The grandchild climbed up their trunks and swung on their branches and ate their apples, played in their shade, and they were all actually happy.
The end. Wait, what?
Okay.
Thank y'all so much. And now we will sing our children and youth and teachers and volunteers off to religious education with the appropriate hymn of blessing this morning, Johnny Appleseed.
Throughout the month of January, we are sharing our plate with Project Red. It is an initiative from the Alano Club of Portland dedicated to raising awareness around overdose prevention and increasing the availability of overdose prevention supplies and training. Project RED focuses on equipping bars, restaurants, strip clubs, entertainment venues, and community-based organizations with skills and supplies. And we are so very grateful to Project RED for offering 2 training sessions right here at First Unitarian this month. If you'd like to donate via check or cash, our ushers will be coming around in just a moment. If you'd like to give electronically, you can find the QR code on the screen and also on the yellow slips of paper in one of the racks in front of you. And if you are on Boxcast, you can just click the Donate Now button. Thank you for your generosity. It makes a difference to us and the difference we can make in the world. It is the time when we share our parish concerns. Some we receive through the email and are requested to share aloud, and others we know we make space for in this time we hold together. Let us hold member Brock Turner in our healing prayers. His manager at Walgreens shared it was imperative that he go to work during Wednesday's storm when there was no bus service. He attempted to walk the 40 blocks and fell on the ice, suffering from a fractured left shoulder bone, bruised left wrist, and bruised right rib cage, black eye, and concussion. Brock, I imagine you're watching Healing from Home. May you be surrounded by love and care and support. Many have been injured and even killed in the winter storms around the country and in our area this week. 80 have died across the United States, and at least a dozen of them here in Portland. One involving a tragic story of family members who were electrocuted as they stepped out of a vehicle where there were downed wires, and a baby survived in his father's arms. Remember to stay in your car. It's important for us to share how to stay safe and call for help when there are downed wires. The rubber wheels keep you safe in that instance. Let us all do everything we can to show up for one another and to extend our love and care to those that are in need or in sorrow. Let us unite our minds and hearts in a spirit of prayer. Spirit of life, there are weeks when we are so deeply conscious of our mortality, especially in a week when the strength of storms reminds each one of us that we are fragile. And in a week when the toll of war rises in the cost of human lives. It is true. We are fragile and mortal. But it is also true that the finitude of life is part of what makes it so precious. We are each here on this earth for but a brief moment when placed upon the backdrop of human history. And yet we are here. And we can feel one another's presence, whether it feels brief or long to us. Our lives count. Our loving counts. The way we touch others with our generosity, our compassion, our strength, our unique gifts counts. That's why it is so hard to say goodbye when the time comes to do so. That is why we count the losses together. For every life is sacred. It is sacred in its being born. It is sacred in its living, whether for a short or a long time. And it is sacred in its dying too. May we feel all our lives that we are blessed and that we can bless others, even through the most challenging of storms. Amen, and blessed be, and may it be so. And now I invite you into a time of silent meditation and prayer. Let us fill up this sanctuary and the sanctuary of our hearts with prayers and blessings and meditations. Our reading this morning is Generous Listening, written by Marilyn Nelson. A conversation can be a contest or a game of catch with invisible balloons. They bounce between us, growing and shrinking, sometimes like a cloud, sometimes floating like cloud medicine balls, and sometimes bowling at us like round anvils. You toss a phrase, and understanding blooms like an anemone of colored lights. My mind fireworks with unasked questions. Who is this miracle speaking to me? And who is this miracle listening? What amazingness are we creating? Out of gray matter, a star spark of thought leaps between synapses in the air and pours through gray matter into my heart. How can I not listen generously?
Thank you, choir. I know the bad weather interrupted your rehearsal schedule this week, but you sound beautiful, and we're so grateful to have you here this morning. Yes, thank you. One of my soapbox issues, the thing I will inevitably ruin a good dinner party talking about, is that we are all informed by and ascribe to particular theologies. Whether we name it that or not, we are steeped in theological ideas in the regular course of our everyday lives. And sometimes this is more insidious, but sometimes it is very, very good. And I can point to a few times in my own life where I was learning some good theology, even when I didn't realize it. Some of you know that before following a call to ministry, I worked in public health and healthcare advocacy. Before I ever set foot inside a Unitarian Universalist church, before I ever registered for a graduate level theology class, before I had any real context in which to place it, this work was introducing me to Catholic liberation theology and the Jewish concept of tikkun olam, or repairing the world, and faith-based practices of debt forgiveness, for example. I was in conversation and community with many radical, committed, faith-based activists working to improve health access and equity. And these people, they embodied both a fierce and concrete commitment to justice, but also a real generosity of spirit. These activists took their work seriously. They were often the first ones on the front lines. But when we lost or we faltered, they remained steadfast, good-humored, open-hearted, and compassionate. They didn't jump to judgment or blame or cynicism. And I slowly began to understand how their faith commitments and values help them stay tender and lighthearted while still remaining unwavering in their commitment to justice. So in times when I feel like my well is running dry, I will often return to this unexpected font of theological imagination. And so it was this month as we reflect on generosity. We are living in a time where there is so much in the world that feels nearly impossible to heal or to fix, where the impulse to turn away from generosity is so strong, either because we don't think we have enough to give to a world in pain, or because we're scared to share what we do have when things seem perilous. Despair and scarcity work to hamper generosity. They make us feel defensive, protective, closed off, paralyzed, or just plain tired. How then can we find a theology that moves us towards generosity in what feel like profoundly ungenerous times? I think it has to begin with a theology grounded in openness, curiosity, and creativity. A theology that makes space for possibility, that sees a way where others see an impasse. And for inspiration today, I'm reaching back to my public health days and recalling the example of Dr. Paul Farmer. Farmer was a dedicated physician, teacher, anthropologist, and activist who passed away in 2022 at the age of 62 in Rwanda, working at the hospital and teaching facility he'd helped establish, the University of Global Health Equity. Paul Farmer was a giant in the public health world who lived an extraordinary life of service. He authored 12 books, influenced infectious disease strategy, and was co-founder of the enormously successful global health organization Partners in Health. And he often lived amongst the people he was serving, in Haiti and Rwanda, for example, and was critical of international aid efforts, preferring to work directly with the communities and train local healthcare workers. His New York Times obituary notes that his work with Partners in Health significantly influenced public health strategies for responding to tuberculosis, HIV, and Ebola. During the AIDS crisis in Haiti, he went door to door to deliver antiviral medication, confounding many in the medical field who believed it would be impossible for poor rural people to survive the disease. and he was beloved by many. Dr. Anthony Fauci broke down in tears when he was interviewed about his death. The New York Times called Farmer a practitioner of social medicine who argued that illness has social roots and must be addressed through social structures. If you've never heard of Dr. Farmer before, his story is an inspiring one, captured in a 2003 book by Tracy Kidder, Mountains Beyond Mountains, The Quest of Dr. Paul Farmer, a Man Who Could Cure the World, and I recommend it. His life's work is a lesson in generosity in its own right, but what I'm most interested in today is what we can learn from his theology, particularly what Farmer called a hermeneutic of generosity. Now, Farmer was a lapsed Catholic who returned to his faith as a source of inspiration when he discovered Latin American liberation theology, especially the work of Peruvian theologian Gustavo Gutierrez. Gutierrez wrote about what he called God's preferential option for the poor. He saw poverty as a form of systemic violence, and its eradication a demand of his faith. Farmer and Gutierrez eventually wrote a book together called In the Company of the Poor. And Farmer wrote eloquently and passionately about the moral imperative to dismantle the structures of violence that cause health inequities. Farmer credited liberation theology with informing the explicit mission statement of Partners in Health, which reads in part, "We are dedicated to providing the highest level of clinical care possible while alleviating the crushing social and economic burden of poverty that creates obstacles to health. At its root, our mission is both medical and moral. It is based on solidarity rather than charity alone. We stand with our patients, some of the poorest and sickest victims of poverty and disease, in their struggle for equity and social justice." So clearly, Farmer ascribed to some radical and revolutionary theology that grounded his work in concepts of justice and liberation and went far beyond surface-level ideas of charity or giving back. And yet, one of the guiding principles of his life was what he called a hermeneutic of generosity. Hermeneutic just meaning a method of interpretation or a lens through which to view the world. For Farmer, this meant simply assuming that most people had good intentions and giving them the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise. He lived his life assuming that most people had good intentions and giving them the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise. And I repeat myself because it's still a little mystifying, even to me who has been reading about it all week. It seems so simple and so naively optimistic, so not radical, perhaps even trite. Dr. Farmer was someone who had witnessed more suffering than most of us will see in our lifetime. He'd seen the often cruel indifference of nature, the even crueler systemic violence and oppression of colonialism, crippling poverty, and ravages of infectious disease. He was far from naive, and he was relentless in his criticism of the systems that perpetuated health inequality and caused the poor to suffer. He had very little reason to give anyone the benefit of the doubt. So why and how would someone who had seen and experienced what he had seen and experienced practice this hermeneutic of generosity? For Farmer, keeping an open mind and an open heart when he interacted with people was key to practicing true generosity as opposed to false charity. In liberation theology, false charity is the idea of giving when it doesn't actually address the underlying cause of a problem, but it does make the giver feel good about giving, right? So in this case, the conditions of inequality provide continuous opportunities for the giver to feel good about giving, so they have very little incentive to actually try and change the system. In contrast, true generosity involves getting to the very heart of the matter. It means uncovering the root cause of the problem and discerning an actual sustainable solution. And that happens through deep listening and continuing conversations and staying in relationship. That's not possible if you're operating from a posture of judgment or defensiveness. It's only possible if you lead with curiosity and openness. if you start from a posture of goodwill. For example, in Farmer's world, a hermeneutic of generosity assumed that if a patient didn't comply with a treatment protocol, they probably had a very good reason. When others might have thrown up their hands and said, investing in care here is a waste of time, people here are ungrateful and incapable of following doctor's orders, Farmer would instead ask, why? What is it that's making it difficult for you to take this medication? Assuming good intentions and keeping an open mind would allow him to learn if it was perhaps difficult to store the medication at the proper temperature, if a language barrier was causing confusion, or a lack of trust between the patients and healthcare workers were making patients skeptical or wary of the treatment. It allowed him to learn what the actual problem was and gain the trust of the community so he could effectively address it. A hermeneutic of generosity rejects hubris, certainty, and paternalism, and prioritizes staying curious and staying in relationship. And sometimes this is harder than it seems. Farmer tells a story of working in Haiti and witnessing a woman accused of sorcery after the death of 2 children in the area. Farmer knew that in reality, the sick children had likely suffered from malaria. Many he worked with dismissed the sorcery accusation as peasant superstition. But Farmer stuck with his desire to extend a hermeneutic of generosity to those he was serving. This did not mean supporting or ignoring the sorcery accusations, but staying open enough to get at the impetus behind them. Eventually, he was able to see the accusations as, in his words, a response to being socialized for scarcity, to zero-sum solutions and diminishing returns. And this realization helped deepen his relationships in the community and gave him insight into how he could work more effectively to build trust and improve health outcomes. Time and time again, Farmer's efforts to serve his patients, build up local health infrastructure, and tear down systems that perpetuated poverty and inequality were made more effective by his attitude of openness and generosity towards those he met. Before I explore how we might practice this in our own lives, I want to make something very clear, and that's a hermeneutic of generosity isn't about letting people off the hook. I know in our work to dismantle white supremacy and become an anti-racist congregation, we've come to understand that impact is more important than intent. So I want us to be mindful that we don't misuse this idea to excuse our own actions, to say, well, I didn't intend my comment to be hurtful or racist or sexist or homophobic, so you should practice a hermeneutic of generosity towards me. A hermeneutic of generosity is an idea that we can extend towards others as a way of guiding our own living, deepening our own relationships, and discerning the most effective path forward, not a method that we can demand others must extend towards us. So are we all in agreement that this is not a free pass, right? It's not a get-out-of-jail-free card. So if we agree on that, then what lessons can we learn from Farmer's approach to generosity? Given that most of us, I mean, maybe not all, but most are probably not likely to cure an infectious disease or build a global health infrastructure. What does it mean to move through our own lives employing this particular approach? I think it invites us to think more broadly about how we understand the work of becoming generous people. I'm certainly not saying don't give of your money, time, and talents. I'm only saying that I think that's just one part of it. Think for a minute about the most generous people you know, and then think about what other qualities they possess. For me, these are the people who also ask the best questions, who are open to new ideas and experiences, who are rarely judgmental and are regularly extending grace. And I don't think that's an accident, right? It's only by being in deep relationship with other people and staying curious and open to what's really going on in their lives and what they really need that we learn how to give of our own time and talents in a way that truly meets the challenges at hand. Farmer believed that society's failure to provide adequate health care to the poor was at its heart the result of spiritual failings. Failings of imagination, failures to extend a hermeneutic of generosity when warranted, and failures to listen patient and reverently. And it stands to reason that this is true of other social failings as well. If we hope to practice effective material generosity and altruism, then I think we would do well to spend some time cultivating the fruits of the Spirit. Can we see the work of staying curious, of listening deeply, or spending time learning about other people and other places and other ways of thinking as part of the work of generosity? Because these skills keep us open and nimble and imaginative. These are the skills we need to find creative, lasting solutions to our world's most pressing problems. The skills that will help us lean into true generosity rather than false charity. A hermeneutic of generosity is a hermeneutic of openness, and thus at its heart, a hermeneutic of hope, because it has not closed off any possibilities. It assumes that even amidst the most seemingly intractable problems and disagreements, there is a path towards relationship building and towards solidarity. It assumes from the outset that there is a way forward. A hermeneutic of generosity invites us to begin our conversations by asking the questions Marilyn Nelson poses in our opening reading. Who is this miracle speaking to me? And who is this miracle listening? What amazingness are we creating? To me, this is a profoundly creative and generative place to begin. And it also feels profoundly doable. Sometimes hard and uncomfortable, sure, but doable, which is part of why I'm finding it so compelling right now. When we feel overwhelmed by the enormity of the world's pain and problems, when we're not sure what we could possibly have to give that will make a difference, at the very least, we can keep our minds and our hearts open to the people in front of us. We can approach our work for justice, our relationships, and our everyday interactions thinking, there is a way forward here. What is it, and how can I contribute to it? So if you felt moved this month to greater generosity, and you don't know where to begin, I suggest beginning by replacing judgment with curiosity, even if only occasionally. Begin with asking questions and listening deeply to the answers. That alone will make you a more generous conversation partner and friend. But I also think it will lead to other and deeper kinds of generosity. Like Paul Farmer, I suspect it will help you identify needs that you hadn't seen, or uncover root causes of problems that have previously seemed unsolvable. I suspect it will help birth new relationships and partnerships rooted in solidarity rather than charity. And I suspect it will help you discern how your particular gifts can serve this world so deeply in need of true, radical, creative generosity. May it be so. Will you pray with me? Spirit of life, help us keep our minds and our hearts open, even when it is hard. Help us to view one another as the miracles that we are. Guide us to ask generous questions and listen generously when they are answered, so that understanding may bloom between us, so that we may know the truth of one another's needs and the extent of one another's gifts. Help us to reject the allure of false charity born out of hubris and hierarchy, reminding us that true generosity is born out of relationships of respect and solidarity. And when we feel paralyzed by the pain of the world, stuck at an impasse, mired in disagreement or confusion, turn us away from cynicism, judgment, and despair, and towards possibility, curiosity, and hope. Amen. Now let us sing together with heart and mind. Let us leave here today with a renewed generosity of spirit, committed to keeping our minds, hearts, and hands open. For this is the day that we have been given, so let us rejoice in it and be glad. Go in peace, practice love, listen generously. Amen.